Texas Tech looks to get back in the win column, this time at home against West Virginia in the last Saturday home game of the year. In today's video, we'll preview the number 9 Red Raiders and what they must do to beat West Virginia, a team that is solidifying themselves as a real contender to be an NCAA Tournament team. We'll also look at the stats that matter, key players, and I'll give my prediction. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. And if you listen to football previews or basketball previews here on the channel for your Red Raiders, you know the next question I'm going to ask you. Head down to the pinned comment below and you tell me what's your score prediction for West Virginia at number 9 Texas Tech. So I'm going to ask you to do in today's video. All right, let's jump into it because this one's interesting from the standpoint of I was talking with Kuz over at Kuz's Corner, and be sure to go check out his great content surrounding Big 12 and West Virginia athletics. I'm not sure that someone can make an argument to me that you aren't seeing the 2 best players or 2 most impactful players in the Big 12 in this matchup. You have Javon Small for West Virginia, and you may recognize that name. He played at Oklahoma State for a few years before transferring out to Morgantown. He has taken a monumental step in his development with DeVries as the head coach out there for the Mountaineers this year, averaging 18.5 and 5.5 assists per game. He has been sensational for the Mountaineers this year. You can say the same thing about JT Toppin. Okay, you're going to be able to see in this matchup what should be 2 all Big 12 first teamers in JT Toppin and Javon Small. As you can see, when it comes to the last 5 for West Virginia, it hasn't gone too great. They too lost at TCU, much like Texas Tech did in their last game, but they did beat Utah and they did beat Cincinnati with 2 losses sandwiched in there against BYU at home and then at Baylor in overtime. As for the Red Raiders, they have also lost a couple games in their last 5, most notably at Arizona and then TCU this past Tuesday. Looking at the overall stats in this one, I really do think it's fascinating in terms of just really just looking at everything from the standpoint of, these 2 teams win in very different ways, okay? As you can see on your screen right now, Texas Tech has the best scoring offense in the Big 12. Almost 82 points per game, 81.8 to be exact. Well, West Virginia has the second best defense when it comes to allowing opponents to score the basketball this year in the Big 12, allowing teams to score 64.2 points per game. Something's got to give out in the 806, right? And I think this is going to be fascinating in terms of multiple aspects of this game because when you look at offense and defense, it's overarching, right? But what are the pinpoint details that West Virginia does in terms of limiting team scoring? What are the details that Texas Tech has in terms of, hey, this is why we score so much? Let's jump into that right now, okay? We're going to go straight to it because this is one of the biggest keys of the game for me. Texas Tech is the second best 3-point shooting team in the Big 12 at 38.3% as a team this year. West Virginia limits their opponents to less than 30% shooting from 3, and they have the best opponent 3-point field goal percentage in the Big 12 at 28.9. Okay, this is fascinating in my opinion, mostly because when you look at it from the West Virginia standpoint, okay, they shoot 32.8%. Texas Tech allows 32.6%. Okay, that's pretty close, right? Like that, there we go. That's just an even split right there. But that is a massive difference in terms of Texas Tech shoots 10% higher from 3 than West Virginia allows teams to shoot this season. Okay, again, 38.3% for the Red Raiders in terms of what they shoot from 3 compared to West Virginia allowing opponents to shoot 28.9. This is going to be a critical difference in this game, in my opinion. And now I think a lot of people will tend to say, well, Texas Tech is at home. They'll shoot better at home. I agree. But if we're going to have that side of the argument, I think the thing that travels the most in college basketball and really college athletics in general is defense. And West Virginia, we'll see here in a minute when you look at KenPom, where they're ranked nationally in terms of his defensive rating, they're really good. This is a really good offensive matchup, Texas Tech, against a really good defensive team in West Virginia. What gives here? Because West Virginia is a team that ranks in the 100s in terms of offense, but they're top 20 defensively in the country. And it starts with their perimeter defense. They are lethal in that regard. When it comes to rebounding, there's a little bit of a difference, okay? There is definitely a little bit of a difference. I was talking to Kuz, and shout out to him for having me on his show discussing this matchup. He was giving me great insights in terms of West Virginia, where you can basically tell when West Virginia is going to be in this game. If they rebound early and they rebound a little bit better than the numbers show statistically, because if you look at it right now, right, they're the worst rebounding team in the Big 12. That's not ideal in terms of combined team rebounds. When you look at how many rebounds they allow per game, they're third worst. There's a 3 rebound difference here. When you go down to the actual margin, West Virginia has the worst margin in terms of getting rebounds and allowing rebounds to their opponents, in terms of they allow 3.2 more rebounds per game. When it comes to offensive rebounding, they are the worst offensive rebounding team in the Big 12. When it comes to defensive rebounding, middle of the pack, okay? Texas Tech should be able to win the rebounding battle in this game. The thing is this. I was saying the same thing against TCU, because if you look on your screen right now, TCU is the worst defensive rebounding team in the Big 12. If Texas Tech can get to that 11.6 number, that 11, 12 offensive rebounding number in this game, when is the best time to shoot a 3? If you watch the channel, you know the answer to this. Off an offensive rebound. When you allow your best shooters to have a better opportunity to shoot 3s, i.e. off an offensive rebound, you're going to have a better chance to win. I think rebounding, and really what percentage is closer as we go back to the 3-point shooting here. Is Texas Tech shooting closer to their traditional season average of 38%? Or is West Virginia holding Texas Tech closer to the percentage they hold their opponents in 28.9? That's going to be a key difference in this game, because I think there's going to be the physicality. I think this team is going to respond to that, because simply put, against TCU, they weren't very physical, right? And I'm not the one just saying that. That's from Grant McCaslin, okay? There's going to be more physicality here for the Red Raiders in this matchup. There's going to be that drive, especially at home, as they lead into a very pivotal week in their, season. You play Houston not even 48 hours later, okay, on Big Monday. And then you go to Kansas, right? And Kansas won't be ranked when you play them, but still, that's a big matchup, okay? So you look at this. Does Texas Tech look ahead? I don't think they do. I know some people are going to say, hey, this is a trap game potentially for Texas Tech as they look ahead to Houston. I don't think Grant McCaslin allows them to do that after the performance they had at TCU, because Texas Tech had a C- at best game at TCU. Granted, they almost won the game, but they played an uncharacteristic style of basketball. Give credit to TCU defensively from that standpoint, encouraging that in some ways for the Red Raiders. But I think Texas Tech responds in a major way, and I'll give my prediction here in a minute. But some of these stats are pivotal. Again, I'm looking at the 3-point percentage, and I'm looking at the offensive rebounds. If Texas Tech can get to that number that they average on the year, again, 11.6, if they're closer to that number than what West Virginia has in terms of what they allow teams to do, okay, you're in a good spot if you're the Red Raiders. When it comes to the Big 12 standings, you can see them on your screen right there. Texas Tech, I don't want to say they're completely out of the Big 12 title race, but a lot of things are going to have to go your way after you stumbled at TCU. That loss is going to hurt you in terms of really having a chance to win, or at least win a share of the Big 12 title. Now, it's super interesting from the standpoint of Texas Tech in terms of the top 16 teams, according to the committee. And I still think Texas Tech is in there, but probably not 13 anymore, probably closer to 16 after their loss at TCU. They have the 5th lowest margin of victory in terms of total points, or 5th lowest margin of loss, I should say. not victory, loss in terms of the top 16 teams. Their 5 losses or 6 losses, on the year have been a combined 23 points. Okay, so they've been playing in close games, right? The largest margin of victory they've had in terms of margin of loss this year has been in Tucson. So just think about that. Okay, we move on. We look at where West Virginia is ranked in the net rankings. You can see it on your screen right there. The Mountaineers head out to the 806 as the 43rd best team and firmly on the bubble. I think right now they're probably in, but it might be a Dayton spot for West Virginia. West Virginia, if you beat Texas Tech, you're in the tournament. Okay, I think they solidify it at that point. They would give them 6 quad 1 wins. They would have a chance going into the final few weeks of the season to be at 500. I think that gets them in. I think it does. When you win in Lubbock, Texas, that is a monumental win for a program, especially when you're fighting for, a bubble opportunity and a chance in the NCAA tournament. All right. As you can see on your screen now, we head up to the top 10. The Red Raiders are still firmly in the top 10 at number 7. You see the quad 1 victories there are at 6. That's going to teeter back and forth because the likes of Utah, Kansas State, and TCU are all in that 70 to 76 range. So those wins are going to fluctuate up and down until the last day of the season, it feels like. So Texas Tech, if they beat West Virginia, technically it'll just be a quad 2 win because the Mountaineers are not in the top 30, and it's a home game, but it'll be one of those deals where still a good quality win, and Texas Tech could pick up a quad 1 win along the way just by other games happening. Now, when we look at KenPom, it's now on your screen right there. The Red Raiders are 8th in the country, according to KenPom. And we scroll down just a little bit, and we've got West Virginia. I told you earlier they have a 100th ranked offensive rating. It's actually 101, but they do have a top 20 defense in the country, do the Mountaineers, at 18 to be exact. This really is a strength against strength type matchup, with Texas Tech having a strength in terms of their offense, a top 11 unit in the country, against West Virginia in a top 20 defense that the Mountaineers will be bringing out to the 806. Again, I think Texas Tech wins this matchup. I do. I think they respond. There has been some talk in terms of Chance McMillan was in a walking boot. That sounds very precautionary. I think he will play in this game. I'm not worried about that from that standpoint. I think Texas Tech is going to come out early, send a message, and not take their foot off the gas, knowing how they performed at TCU with the hot start and letting TCU back in that game. I don't think Grant McCassin and crew allow the Red Raiders to do that. I think Texas Tech wins this matchup 78 to 66. Let me know. Again, your score prediction down on the pinned comment below. As you can see on your screen right there. Just let me know. West Virginia at number 9, Texas Tech. Who you got? Let me know down on the pinned comment. And while you're down there, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. Stay in the know on all things Texas Tech men's basketball and football all year long, whether it's on the gridiron or the hardwood. We've got you covered with the largest group of Texas Tech fans here on YouTube, over 11,600 strong. Ton of returning viewers too. I'm telling you, I recognize y'all. Thank y'all so much for continuously supporting the channel. It means the world to me. And if you want to be a part of the Back to 12 squad, again, all you got to do is like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. And as always, stay safe and Wreck 'em Tech.